to the D area day. I'm so excited to be your host, and I hope you're excited to be here. If you're excited to be here, please just drop a chat. I can just write like you're excited, or yeah, just drop a chat in the chat box. Okay, quite excited. Okay, I want more chats, more chat. Let me see your chats. We have 35 people on this call. Can just leave the chat box, chats in the chat box. Okay, so we'll just get started. So welcome to the DE Career Day, and I'm excited to be your host today. And today we'll be focusing on everything data engineering, from industry trends to challenges and how you can overcome these challenges, like solutions, and yeah, everything about data engineering. We're going to be hearing from top speakers that are going to guide you through this data engineering talks, everything about data engineering. So yes, yeah, so I will share my screen now. So if you can see my screen, kindly give a thumbs up. Can everybody see my screen? Okay, I'm going to make it full screen. All right. So today we're going to be talking about everything data engineering, like I said. So I'm going to first introduce myself because obviously you have to know who is talking to you. Who is your host? Phil. So yeah, but I'll first introduce who Analytics is. Yes. So let me just say this. So yes, Analytics, we're a leading ELM edtech company focusing on providing specialized training in technology skills and delivering comprehensive data consulting services. Now over the years we've built talents like from ground scratch. We've built talents for the technology workforce. We've helped over 2,000 plus people transition from beginner level, from classroom to getting their first jobs across UK, US, Canada, Europe, and Africa and Asia. And now 1096 is committed to making technology sector more accessible through premium training in various courses like data analytics, business analysis, data engineering, which is the focus of the day, data science, financial analytics, analytics, Scrum, cybersecurity, and AI engineering. So and our team of instructors are from leading global companies like different companies like Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, bringing a wealth of experience. Okay, so now we have today with us also our lead in the data engineering, Dr. Hay, who is a technology expert also with over half a decade years of experience in data engineering and 8 years experience in digital marketing with experience cutting across multiple sectors. Okay, is the lead in our data engineering. So you'll be hearing from him soon. He's also on the call with us. Okay, yeah, down to me now. So I'm Taiwo. and I've also been in the data engineering industry for over 5 years. Also with data analysis, I have experience in Python, data warehouse, and cloud engineering, and my experience spans across different sectors like technology, fintech, FMCG, telecommunications, and entertainment. Okay, so who is excited? Who is excited? Nobody replied on the chat, so I want to see who is excited for this career day. Data. If you're excited for this data engineering career day, please leave a chat box. Leave excited on the chat box. Leave excited on the chat box. So we're 67 on this call. So I want to see excited from every one of us. Excited. Okay. Same period. Okay. Valley, King Joshua. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So good to have you here. I'm excited to be your host. Okay. Okay. They say welcome. Okay, Adibola, welcome. Excited to be here also. Okay. So moving forward, what are we doing today exactly? We have different speakers coming in our presence today from top speakers in data engineering industry that we're going to discuss with and help us navigate through data engineering. Everything you need to know about data engineering, we're going to discuss today, and you're going to learn so much from them. So I want you to get your notebook and your biro, something you're going to jot down with, because it's coming fully packed. You are not going to leave like, as you're coming here, you're going to leave with something very knowledgeable. And yes, so get your books and your biros to note down. We'll be having a panel discussion, and we'll also guide you on different skills and career pathways for you. That's where my lead comes in. And yes, we'll just also look at real life success stories just for you to also see how you can get these data engineering jobs. Okay, so I will just briefly call on each speakers, our guest speakers today, to introduce themselves. Let's into the session. So Mr. Daniel Opanbi, please. Mr. Daniel.
Hi, everyone. Can you still hear Taiwo? Oh,
Okay.
awesome. Can you guys still hear Taiwo? I think she's having a little bit of network glitch. So we'll be going ahead to speak with our speakers and invite them on board. So we're starting off with the first speaker, Daniel Panui. Could you come up? You just put on the camera and say hello to everyone. Then are you there, Daniel? Awesome. Nice to see your face, Daniel. It's been a while. Okay. Then we'll be having our next speaker also come up. Chukwubuke Mwoke. You're gonna hear from all the speakers. So Chukwubuke, could you come up, put on your camera and awesome, awesome, amazing. Then we'll also be calling our third speaker, Oluwashino Aladejubelu. Oh, okay. I think we're going to be unmuting the speaker. So so as that they could speak. Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry about that. I'm just gonna do that so that you guys could have access. And we're gonna be calling on the final speaker, Oluwatobi. Oluwatobi, could you unmute yourself? And also put on your camera so we all could see you. Awesome. Nice to see you. Nice to have you all here. So Taiwo is back. Let me have her continue the section. Hi, Taiwo. You can take over.
All right. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we
Can
can
you
hear
hear
you
me,
loud.
Dr. Lee?
Yeah, we can hear you loud and clear.
All right. Thank you. So we'll do a little introduction for each of our speakers. Starting from Mr. Daniel, please can you introduce yourself?
Hi, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Awesome, awesome. Hello, good evening, everyone. My name is Daniel Okwanobi, as you can see the name is printed there. Where to start? I'll just give a brief introduction so that everybody else can go. A certified data engineer and a cloud engineer with certifications across most of the known cloud providers, that's AWS and GCP, a little bit of Azure as well. I've been a data engineer for, let's say, 3 years now. Yeah, 3 years professionally, but I've been in the data space for much longer than that anyways. I started my journey similar to most of you. Even Ehia and I here were actually cohort members when we first started out. It's great to see that he's still doing big things. I'm just going to stop there. I look forward to speaking with you in more detail. Thank you for having me.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Daniel. Looking forward to the insight you're going to share today. Okay. Okay, next is we have Mr. Chukwu Okay, please kindly introduce yourself. Thank you.
All right, yeah, thank you, Taiwo. Please confirm you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
All right. Yeah, so my name is Chukwubi Kim. You can call me Chu for short. I'm also a data engineer. I currently work with Access Bank, Nigeria. I've been in the data engineering space for about 4 years now. It's been a while, and in that time I've worked in consulting, finance, a little bit of other areas here and there over that time. I'm happy to be with you guys today, and I'll be happy to interact with you, speak about data engineering and answer some of the questions that you have. Thank you, guys.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Chu. Good to have you here, and we can also wait for the insight you're going to share for us today. Next is Mr. Oluwashino. Please kindly introduce yourself. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you, Taiwo. So I'm Shino. I've been in the software industry for about 20 years now. And within the last 22 years, I've been work across different roles. That's long before there was something called data engineering. But in the last 10, 11 years, I've had the opportunity to, transition into data engineering. I mean, a little more than 10 years, actually. So I went into data architecture and different stuff, related stuff in different parts of the world. And I'm currently CTO for Function Stack, a boutique, IT consulting company, working on data and AI. So I'm excited to be here. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Luashino. That's interesting and good to have you here. And I'm looking forward to the knowledge you're going to share for us today. Okay, and the next we have is Mr. Oluwatobi. Kindly introduce yourself. Thank you.
Hi everyone. Good evening. I hope I am audible. So, I'm Oluwatobi. I have let's say 5 years experience working as a data engineer. Currently working with MoneyPoint, kind of supporting their fraud investigation. So in terms of my experience, kind of started off in academia actually, and then with software engineering before I pivoted to data science. So that's and then data engineering. So that's like my career trajectory on a very high level. So I'm looking forward to kind of speaking with everyone and learning some stuff this evening.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Oluwatobi. It's good to have you here, and we also can't wait for the knowledge you're going to share to every one of us. Okay, so we're going to get right into the panel discussion now, and we'll be discussing on key topics like career pathways in data engineering, industry trends, some of the challenges people are facing in data engineering, and how we can overcome these challenges, like the solutions, and also what are the learning platforms we can use, the education, certifications, things like that. So we're going to start that now. So I'll be starting with Mr. Chu. Yeah, Chuku became. So I just want to know, can you just share your career journey and what led you to pursue data engineering? Can you just share with every one of us? Thank you.
All right, I will. So I can't recall at what point I really picked up the interest in in data as a whole, but I've always had that interest, back then in school as well. So, but really, coming into professionally into data, my first role was as an analyst. So I first entered as a data analyst. Did a little bit of analytics as well as budding data scientist. So for me, I always feel like sorry, someone speaking. Any needs?
Sorry about that.
I think he's muted. Taiwo, could you unmute him? And I think Chu is muted.
Okay.
Can you guys hear me now?
Perfect,
Yes,
we can
I
hear
can.
you.
All right. So again, I'll go over. Starting off in data for me, it was analytics first. I found them analytics as that's
Sorry about that. I don't know. I think that person keeps muting himself. We'll fix that right away.
all right. I think it's fine now. Yeah, so really, in terms of my career trajectory, it's been analytics, and I did some courses back then on I think on Coursera. That was the very first course I took in data. I did the Google Professional Data Analytics Professional Certification. That gave me some skills that I needed to get started in analytics. From there, I did a couple of freelancing roles, especially in academia. A lot of students out there, postgraduate, undergraduate students who needed data to be analyzed. So I went in there, picked up some of those projects for students and did analytics for them. So that really got me grounded in the data as a whole. And I was able to also do some projects on the side and put up resumes, do some has had some portfolio, and that got me my first job in data. So from there, I just skilled and then navigating the industry. I found more passion in engineering because personally, I'm a back-end kind of person that wants to just build stuff. So moved into data engineering full time, got more skills, pivoted fully to professional data engineer. And it's been that way up until this point. So that's my story.
All right, that's so fascinating, and that's really good to know. So you starting from data analytics, taking courses and getting down to data engineering. That's really good. So thank you for sharing that. So moving forward, I hope we're all jotting down and taking notes. And please, if you have questions, please take notes of put down your questions to ask at the end of this session. Okay, so moving to Mr. Daniel, I would like to ask what was your first role in data engineering and how did it shape your career? Please kindly share for us. Thank you. Mr. Daniel, are you there?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now. So did you hear the question I
Awesome.
asked?
Yes, I got the question you asked. Okay, hello again, everyone. This is going to be a little bit difficult for me to answer because
Okay.
I never really had a defined first start role because I sort of eased myself into it. Like I said, I've been doing data engineering for at least 3 years, but I've been in the data space for longer than that, right? So I've always been, first off, I have a background in engineering to start with, right? So and I've always had an interest. If at any point you can't hear me, please just let me know so I can adjust. Yeah, so I've always had a background in engineering and I've always had an interest in the tech space. All right. So, when I finished school, I came out and looking for what to do. I was open to opportunities that, where I could get into the tech space. Right. So I entered as an artificial intelligence data annotator. That's where I started working with computer vision, building AI models. I didn't even really understand what AI models were at that point, but it sounded techy. And I felt, okay, let me do this, right? So after a while of doing that, growing in and understanding, especially artificial intelligence, because it was something I was very interested in, right? So after doing that for a while, I decided to see what, how I could fuse my engineering mindset with my love for tech and usage of data, right? And so that's where data engineering came in. So I joined, that's where I believe I met Ehi. I joined an academy in South Africa to where they train you for such skills, right? This was some years ago. And initially I wanted to do data science, right? I just sort of found myself in a data engineering class. I was like, okay, so be it. And I just, but then from there, after being trained and getting certified, um, then I got to apply at the same organization in South Africa, and I got accepted, to intern there for some time. And that really helped in shaping me up because at that point I'd already begun to have the skills, right? And then I was now entering the space. I could really see what I could do. But that wasn't also what I would consider to be my first. I'm just going to say that because after that, the internship didn't last long. It was just about 6 months or more, I think, if I remember correctly. Right. So now this is where things now begin to get interesting, because you have all these skills and you don't really know how to use them or where to use them. You're still the truth is you're still junior, right? So I decided to, spread my wings out and test what I could actually do with it. So I looked into applying to volunteer roles, right? Stuff where you don't get paid, but you can make real impact. So I worked all over Europe, right? I did a spat in Bulgaria and also in uh, Berlin, Germany. Yes, in Berlin, Germany. So it was in there that I could say, okay, yes, I'm a data engineer, because it were projects. It was a NGO, right? So I was a volunteer, a data engineer, collaborator volunteer, where I contributed in that sense, and then helped to build some really nice stuff that to help non-governmental emphasis of those kinds of things. So that's where that's where I really got to build my skills and also make some really interesting connections. I'm going to get into that later on in the call, but I hope that answers your question at least.
Yes, definitely. That's really interesting. And I heard you when you said you did a formal training like for data engineering in South Africa. So I'd just like to ask you one more question connected to that. So how would you say, like, how important is formal education in data engineering? And are there any specific certifications you would recommend to someone starting out? Did you get the question, please? Mr. Daniel? Okay, I don't think Mr. Daniel is we can't
Yeah,
hear
I
you.
was trying to
We can't
speak.
hear.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now. Did you hear the question I asked?
Yeah, could you say it again? My mic was muted. I was trying to respond.
Okay, I said I heard when you said you did identification in data engineering in South Africa. So I wanted to ask a question like
Yeah.
that. So
Yep.
how important,
What?
sorry,
How
how
important is
important
formal education?
yes, in data engineering, and how there any specific certifications you recommend to someone starting out in data engineering?
Well, okay, so this formal education, like I said, my background was in pure engineering, right? It had nothing to do with tech or data engineering as it were, right? But the point is that you must always be open to learning. It might not, there's so many data engineers right now that are making waves that never went to school to be data engineers. They never went to school to study data engineering or data science in that sense, right? There's a point to which it becomes important, especially when you're trying to make a career out of it. But to start, all you really need is interest and the right mentorship or the right materials or where to actually get those kind of skills. My point is that there's so many resources out there, right, that you can get that might not necessarily have to be in the setting of a formal classroom setting where you have to go to school. It doesn't always have to be where I did it, right? But you can always definitely learn. There are ways to learn. In getting a job, you might get stumped up when people start asking you. But if you have things like projects, if you have things like certifications that you do, that's professional certifications, not traditional certifications in that sense. You're always good to go. Makes sense.
All right. Thank you for that insightful information, knowledge shared. Thank you so much. And so we'll be moving on to Mr. Oluwatobi. So can kind of just describe your experience in securing your first job, your job like as a data engineer? And if you could do it all over again, what would you have done differently, or what we do differently? Mr. Toby, can you hear me, please?
Hi. Okay, thank you. I think I can speak now. Okay, so the question is kind of tricky in the sense that my first my first job was in freelance. So essentially, I was working on Upwork. So that was my first kind of data engineering or data science job. But the first, should I say, 9 to 5 was at an NGO. So to kind of get, so I'll just speak to both of them because there were kind of two different things that were required. So for the first one, I kind of had a leg up because during my master's program, I had worked on kind of an artificial intelligence problem. So that's kind of opened my mind to that field, and I was able to do a lot of research and kind of absorb a lot of knowledge from books and like cutting edge research. And so that was what helped me get that first role. So it was I was part of like a research team, and what we're trying to do was we're trying to gather data to kind of see customer behavior on e-commerce websites. That's what we're trying to do. So at the start of the contract, I was working on data collection, which was mostly data scraping, and then towards the end, I was working on kind of clustering problem. So that was what helped me get that first role. For the second role, which was at an NGO, I would say for that, it was more, I didn't do anything in terms of like technical skills, but it was more of like persistence and learning how to sell myself properly. So sometimes because of the way the job market is, you have to, there's an element of luck, but you have to be able to sell yourself on your CV, your cover letter during the interview, and really show that you have this knowledge and you're able to like really apply it properly. So that was what helped me get the second one, which was with an NGO in Abuja. So if I was going to change anything, so for the first one, I don't think I would change anything because kind of leveraged on previous knowledge. And for the second one, I would say it would have not taken so long to have gotten that kind of role because it took me a while actually to get a kind of 9 to 5 role. But it would have not taken me that long if I had learned earlier how to be able to like sell my skills, market my skills, talk about what I can do, lean on my experience, and like just present my ideas clearly to people, whether it's through interview or cover letter or whatever. And that is something that would have changed in relation to the second role. So hopefully that answers the question.
Definitely. In fact, that was so insightful. And one thing I picked from there was being able to sell yourself properly. And I hope everyone was able to pick something from there. If you're starting out or you're in data engineering field, you want to be able to sell yourself properly at any time. Even with the little knowledge you have, with the little project you've worked on, you want to be able to sell yourself properly, your CV, your resume, your cover letters. So thank you for that, Toby. That was really insightful. So moving on to Mr. Oluwashidon. Okay. So I would just ask, what do you think are like the biggest trends in data engineering right now? And how do you see the role of data engineering evolving over the years, like in the next 5 to 10 years?
Yeah, thank you very much for that question. And I don't know. I just feel like it's important to mention something. You know, even though it's different, a bit different from the question you asked me, if you can help me remember this question later. But there is something that I think is very important. Maybe it's also related. You know, different people came into data engineering, you know, from different backgrounds. Some are coming from computer science, some are coming from engineering. I mean, you could actually come from anywhere. And
Yeah.
so, and then because there's no formal, I mean, until now, until very recently, you know, there was no formal training for to be data engineers. So some trainings focus on tools and platforms, and some other trainings might focus on what are the, you know, like the core basics of data engineering. So I don't know if you will get to that point, to that question at some point, but I just want to mention that, you know, when someone is starting out as a data engineer, so a data engineering, to be a data engineer, there are two words, data and engineer or engineering. So that engineering part of things means that you have to be able to code, because we are not the type of engineers that, you know, use some tools. We do our engineering on the computer via programming. So I'm trying to emphasize the role of coding in this whole thing. You know, in my own case, I started out as a software engineer for half of my career, you know, until now, before transitioning into data. And maybe I was used to doing some very challenging things, you know, as a Java programmer or what have you. But then I used to think that SQL is very simple, you know, that anyone could, I mean, it's just SQL. If you have been writing Java, you can just pick it up. But over time, I began to realize that I would see some SQL scripts and my heart will skip, you know, because it wasn't, it's not actually as simple as I thought. And I would say that early on in my career, 3 times I couldn't get into Google. You know, this is just like a fun fact, because of SQL. It wasn't because of Java or because of Python, but it was because something was missing in terms of my SQL script, SQL scripting. So I'm just trying to say in essence that irrespective of the evolution over the years, you know, as we have new tools, new platforms and everything, the core basics, you know, remain the same. You need to speak the language of data and database, you know, which is SQL, and then Python by extension. So coming to the issue of trends, you know, I started out in the time when everybody was going the Hadoop way. You know, with Hadoop, everybody was really, it used to be, Oracle used to be like the biggest thing that was happening in the data world, whether it's called data engineering. It wasn't even called data engineering, but in the data space. But it was expensive, and many times you have to archive a lot of historical data that we now utilize in getting insight. So you have to archive it early because of cost, you know, and people could not really, a lot of capabilities were not possible. Then we moved to Hadoop, and it looked very hard to work with. To set it up was not very easy. Thanks to AWS, you know, we began to have all this cloud infrastructure. So over the last few years, we moved from on-premise data infrastructures to the cloud, except for very, very large tech companies and companies that are working in sectors that are highly regulated, like the banking sector and some other sectors. Maybe Nigeria, for example, is not highly regulated, but some other countries, you know, these data governance rules, regulations are highly enforced, and you can really receive a lot of fine. So so we moved a lot into from on-premise data warehouse platforms, for example, to cloud data warehouse platform. But what has also happened over the years is that costs keep growing, because most of the time we don't properly architect things in the cloud. It's easy to spin up and to scale up infrastructure and compute. So over time, we begin to accrue thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars, you know, and so now we are having something like a hybrid. We are moving into the lake house, you know, so we moved from data lakes to data warehouse and then cloud data warehouse. So now we are having something in between, which is lake house. The whole essence of this thing, as far as I am concerned, is cost, because you can actually go with the lake house trend for a fraction of the cost that your typical cloud data warehouse, you know, would cost for the same workload. I don't know if I answered all your questions. So this
Yes,
is what I would
definitely.
consider like the latest
Okay.
trend. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mr. Oluwashina, for this forward-looking thoughts and insights. Okay, and one of the things I took from there was the latest trends about data lakehouse and lakehouse that is trendy right now. So I would advise everyone that I hope they are jotting down and taking note of these things, because these are vital information that will help you navigate your career as a data engineer, even when you're starting out now. Okay, so thank you for that, Mr. Oluwashina. That was very insightful. So before we move forward, I would just kindly say there's a take-home gift for everyone. So, and that's why it's important to fill the attendance form. You have to fill the attendance form if you want to get this take-home gift. It's a very, very important gift for you as a data engineer. So you don't want to miss this. You cannot even leave this event without that gift. So you have to fill the attendance form to be able to access this gift. Okay. So yes, thank you for that. So moving forward, I'll be moving back to Mr. Chu. Yes. So I would just like to ask, like, how do you stay updated with the latest tools and technologies in data engineering? Just like Mr. Oluwashina mentioned some of these latest trends. So how do you stay updated as a data engineer in the data engineering industry?
Yeah, Taiwo, thanks for that. For me, in terms of staying up to date, it's really about making sure you're out there. It's a social media era. You have to be active on social media. LinkedIn for one, you always see a mix of, because same with every career, there are generations of people in a career. There are people just starting out, you who is somewhere, you started, and then who've gone really far ahead of you. So on social media like LinkedIn, you get to see a mix of all of these generations. So you need to be active on social media like that, so that you get to see, follow people who are just starting out, see what they're into, follow people who are ahead of you, and what they are into, and also people, your peers, what they are also into. So it really helps a lot. And then you also, for me, you really have to be open to learning, because data engineering is really a fast-paced environment. Like Oluwashina mentioned, today everybody's talking about moving to the cloud. Tomorrow everybody's saying the cloud is expensive. We want to have something in between. We want to have a lake house. So you need to be adaptive. You need to be, always open to learning new things. So for me, two things: stay really updated by following trends on social media, and also be committed to doing your own personal development. You have to sign up for courses. If you go to Udemy, for instance, there are a lot of courses. You can take programs like, Analytics has great people who will teach you, some of these latest trends and latest things coming out in data engineering. So it's really about that commitment to know that if you stay in your space and you don't learn new things, you're just going to become really obsolete in a short while. So that's it. Thank you. I think you're muted, Taiwo.
Sorry. Thank you for that insightful information, Mr. Chu. So one thing I would just also want to ask is, what advice would you give to new people starting out as in data engineering, aspiring data engineers that they're just new to this career? So what advice would you give them?
I think one advice I would give to myself if I roll back hand of time, it's to be very confident. I think Uluwatobi mentioned this. You need to be very confident when you're starting out. So you need to be out there. By statistics, people who build in public tend to move ahead faster than people who just stay on their own and build stuff. So you can be doing a lot of things, but I mean you have to tell your story. So don't feel shy, be confident. Okay, you've built this pipeline and it works great. You're proud of it. I mean, tell it somewhere on LinkedIn, on Twitter, on your WhatsApp, wherever it is you feel confident about telling your story. So you need to build in public. So it's one thing to put your head down and do the work. It's another thing to beat your own drum, let people know what you've done. People might criticize you, but I mean that's how you learn. So over time you find out that you move ahead faster. So for me, one advice, try and build in public and be confident as early as possible. Start applying for, for jobs. I mean, you get rejections, but that's how you grow. So thank you.
Okay, thank you for that, Mr. Chu. So I picked up a few things from what you said, like for starting from being out there on social media to be able to stay updated, be open to learn. That is one key thing. Be open to learn and be open to take feedback, just relating to building in public. Okay, and also being confident in what you are doing. That is one key thing you have to be or do as a data engineer when you're starting out. So thank you for that, Mr. Chu. So I will just ask the final question before we get into the question and answer. So I hope you have all prepared your questions for our speakers. Okay. So I will just ask Mr. Oluwatobi. Yes. So Mr. Oluwatobi, are you there, please? Mr. Oluwatobi, can I ask?
Yes.
Okay. So I will just ask this question. So what are some of the biggest challenges you faced in your career and how did you overcome them? So I just wanted to let people know, so if they come across these challenges, how would they navigate it? How would they overcome this challenge? Thank you.
Okay, that's a very big question. There are many challenges, actually. For me, there are some that are kind of personal to me, and there are some that are kind of general to the data space. So, if starting with what was personal to me, previously I did not want to work in tech. I actually wanted to be an academic, be in school and all of that. So changing priorities to into tech was kind of one of those difficulties that I just had to kind of bite the bullet and take that and use that as a kind of a way to get me to where I'm trying to go, essentially. So like a small detour to get me to where I want to go. So essentially, whenever you're at a crossroads where there's something you actually want to do, but you can't go for it yet, but there is maybe something that you might need to do first to be able to reach it, then it's better to take the second option and actually go for what is easily attainable. And then after a while, you can now go for what you want. After you've built up some experience, you have some more context, and all of that. When I joined data engineering, actually, it was not really kind of, it was not really a very hyped up field as it is now. So if you actually wanted to work in data, what usually happened was you would come into the firm as maybe a software engineer or some kind of business analyst or something like that. So that's usually not the case these days. A lot of companies are trying to become data driven, but you still find some kind of legacy kind of companies, you know, still like not really going into their data. So if you want to work for one of these older companies, or even the government at this point, the government in Nigeria, you can go in as a software person or as an analyst, and then because eventually everybody will jump on the data bandwagon, so you can then switch because at that point you've built up domain experience, and then you have already built up your skills in data engineering specifically. Another difficulty, but may particularly apply more to data science, not data engineering. For data science, what used to be a difficulty in the past is that it is quite difficult to measure KPIs for data science people. So, you know, for other job roles now, just to use an example, if your role is to move this object from point A to point B and do that 10 times, if you did it 8 times, you can know that, okay, we were expected to do it 10 times, but you did it 8 times. So we can say, okay, this is how you perform in relation to what you are supposed to do. But data science is kind of different in the sense that let's say you are supposed to kind of gain some insights from data. Sometimes you take up the job, but you are not really able to gain those insights from that data. So maybe like actionable insights. So sometimes data is not clean enough, or maybe there's just no insights in the data, but you've done some work, but you don't have that result to be able to show at the end. So that's used to be a problem, and how I was able to overcome that is that essentially there's also value, even though you don't get the desired result or the expected result, I should say, there's value in kind of that process, and really being able to communicate what you found during the process can still give value to like the executives that need to make business decisions. And what I'll say lastly is that data engineering is a very vast field. Data engineering is very vast. At the core is Python and SQL for most people, but it can be very vast. Some people are like cloud gurus. Some people are like on-prem people. Some people do database administration. So it's very, very vast. So whenever somebody is coming into data engineering and say, oh, what are data engineering tools? And somebody's just listing off like 20 tools, that might become
sorry,
a problem.
Please, can you speak up a bit, please? Thank you.
Okay. So I was saying that for somebody who is coming into data engineering, the field is very vast. So it can happen that there are a lot of things that when you're going in, you see, oh, I have this much to learn. And it can be very off-putting for a lot of people because it's like, when will you gain that mastery of this field that you're going into when there's this much to learn, right? So that can be a problem. And the way to kind of deal with that is that we just focus on the core competencies of the role, focus on the core competencies, and then you try to look for the ideal company that you want to work for, and then some of the tools that they use there. You try to gain your competency in that. So, as I think Mr. Washington has mentioned, the language of data is SQL, and you also need to know some Python. So you can't avoid those two things. You can focus on those two things. And then any other tool or skill or process that you want to learn in addition to that one that relates to the company that you would like to work on, you can then pick those. Now, what will happen is that if you, by the time you gain some experience, you can then now pick up some of the other skills on the job. You can then learn on the job and pick up some of those other skills. So I would not like for anybody that's just coming into the field to look at how vast everything is and say, oh, I might not be able to learn this. That's not really how you should be looking at it. So yeah, I think those are kind of the key problems that I've experienced and it's like common in this field and the way to really go about them.
All right, Mr. Oluwatobi, thank you so much for the insights. And yeah, just like you said, one of the few things I picked up is focusing on core competencies of the role. It can be overwhelming sometimes, sure, yes, definitely, but you want to start out, just like Mr. Oluwatobi said, focusing on Python and SQL. In fact, somebody once told me that if you know Python and SQL, you are made as a data engineer because you can then incorporate other tools that come up. But these two skills, Python and SQL, are one of the main things you have to know because you're going to be using it to work with other tools that you're going to learn along the line. Okay, so thank you for that, Mr. Oluwatobi. Thank you for the insight and knowledge shared. Okay, so it's always encouraging to hear how experienced professionals navigate through their careers, their challenges. And so it was really exciting talking about this. So we'll just go right into the question and answer. So if you have any questions, I'm opening the floor to any questions from the audience. Feel free to ask any speaker, any of our speakers, your question, anything on your mind. You can ask any of them. But I will just start with okay, Belinda, yes. Your hand is raised.
Yes, thank you so much for this great opportunity to talk to people already in the field. I just have a couple of questions about starting out as a data engineer. I have been working in data for quite a bit of time, and I became interested in this because of the big data, the shift to big data instead of looking at like small data sets. I'm curious to know the opportunities in Africa because sometimes we are quick to assume that all the opportunities exist in Europe and America and some parts of Asia. So if any of you would be interested in telling us a little bit more about the opportunities for data engineers in Africa, that would be interesting. I heard somebody talk about governments, but I don't know how it's been evolving or if there are any niche markets that are using data engineering extensively. And there were opportunities around us. Why look elsewhere when we can find it there? Sorry, I have about 3 questions. Second one is domain knowledge. Is it particularly important in data engineering? For instance, if I were to build a portfolio, would I be carving a niche for myself if I were to say I'm going to work in healthcare alone, or I'm going to work in, is it really necessary for someone who is coming up for the first time to carve out a domain and stick to it and kind of like, work in those sectors? Any of you based in Canada, I can see that you have quite like different businesses that you work for. And I've taken my time to kind of like look at it, and I see you work in interesting places. Are you hiring?
Okay, Belinda.
Yes, that's
I will
three.
just direct your question
Yeah.
to Mr.
Okay.
Washino for him to answer that because he'll be leaving soon. So let's just hear from him. And that Mr. Washino, please, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you very much. Yeah, quite a number of questions. Well, I think I listed them down. The first one is, are there opportunities in Africa? So I will look at it from 2 ways. I may not be the best person to answer this particular question, but I can give my own, ideas about it. First, I think the world is now flat, no longer what it used to be, spherical. So what do I mean is that I'm here in Lagos and I could be, working in Canada or working in the United States or, in any other parts of the world. So I remember that I returned to Nigeria a couple of years ago, and there was a project that I had started in Spain. A couple of times I would come back to Nigeria, and I would still be able to continue, with some of these projects. And there were some that, for instance, I started working on right from here without having to leave this country. So I'm sure there are other people on this platform who tonight, who are working, outside Nigeria, but they are working from Lagos, from Ibadan, from different parts of Nigeria. So that's on one side. So the whole world is looking to Africa, especially Nigeria, to get talents. And the other part of it is that 7 years ago, I came to Nigeria to look for data engineering opportunities, but unfortunately, I could not find one at that time. At some point, I found some big French companies that would take some projects in Lagos or Senegal and trying to get Nigerians to do it. But that's no longer the case. We now have so many. I see a number of data engineers, for example, some of the speakers, someone like Chooks, who works in Access Bank as a data engineer, and so on and so forth. We now have data engineering positions in Africa. So, this is in addition to those remote jobs. So you asked something about the role of domain knowledge. I would like to say that it's very, very important. Maybe some people here today may not, maybe you have not really done another interview recently, maybe since you became a senior or something like that. I am privileged to, apart from my main job, to help some companies, to conduct interviews. And one of the few set of questions that I'm interested in knowing is in which sectors have you worked? Because what you do in telecoms, even as a data engineer, I have worked in about maybe 5, industries. The basic principles remain the same, but then what we do in telecom is a bit different than what we do in e-commerce. So the domain and knowledge is very important. There are times when you don't really mind. It's better to take a guy with 5 years experience in just any domain than to have someone who has just 3 months or 6 months experience in healthcare, where as a data engineer. So, but then the domain knowledge counts. So I think that's about the answers from my end. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Luashina, for that. I hope that answered your question, Belinda. Okay, so if you have questions, please raise your hands or you can drop them in the chat box. So moving Obina, please let's hear your question. And who you're directing it to, or let's just hear your question.
Okay. I hope I'm unmuted. Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, panel. Thank you for sharing your insights and experience with us. I want to direct my question to Daniel. I don't know if he's still there.
Okay, Mr. Daniel,
Hello,
please,
sir.
are you there?
Yes, I'm still here. I am still here. You can go ahead. I'm listening.
I'm directing my question to you because I'm coming from a similar background, core engineering background like you. So my question is, it was before I got into the program, I used to think that data engineering is just one, a field that I did not even know there was. I knew there was data architecture, and there was data science, data analysis. I did not see data engineering like a separate field on its own. I always thought it was, somehow here and there at this other fields. It was when I got in, I saw how vast and large the field is on its own. I started reaching out to people on LinkedIn, and it got to a point where the field that I thought was small, that was attached to one of these other established fields, they are now asking me which, if I tell someone I'm doing a data engineering program, they ask you which branch. It got confusing. They'll ask you, are you in DevOps? Are you in data ops, MLE, and all these sub-field under. So my question to you, sir, please, if you are just starting out in the career as a D, is it like best to specialize in one of these particular subfields that are springing up every now and then, or is it best to like get a concrete understanding of the core framework of the main field itself, the basics? I don't know if you get the question, sir.
Okay. Yes, I got your question.
Okay.
It's a little bit of a doozy. Okay, so yes, you are right. The deeper and it's not just for data engineering, it works for almost every other career path, right? When you start out, then you find out that there are actually specializations that go deeper and deeper. Oh, you said that you come from an engineering background as well. You'd see that if you said that maybe you wanted to start in something like mechanical engineering, there you can go and pivot into automobile or automotive. There's just always so many ways to pivot, right? But in everything, you still have to always be grounded in the fundamentals, right? I don't know I had it somewhere that data engineering might have so many things, but whoever is a data engineer just needs to be grounded in the fundamentals, and then the other things can just be added onto it, right? Someone also just mentioned that if you know Python and SQL, you already made, right? Obviously, that's a little bit of a oversimplification, even though it's sort of true, because you definitely need to add more. But first, be grounded in the basics, right? When you're grounded in basics, then as things come along, because it might be, okay, you might, when you've gotten the basics down, then you might now sort of figure out, oh, I actually like how this one sounds, or I like how this one looks, or how this particular role plays out, right? And then you can say, okay, maybe I can learn something in that direction. Let me learn talent, or know how to use Mixpanel. There's so many tools. There's so many tools that if you said you wanted to learn everything, you're just going to, get confused and waste your time, right? So start with the basics. And after a while, when you're established, then you have a little bit more insight in what everybody else is doing. Then you can now pick for yourself, okay, I think I like this, and then walk towards that direction. Also, the kind of roles that you might land could also have quite a large be a large factor in the way you move. If you go into maybe a company where they're really big on cloud, right, then you might actually pivot into being a cloud data engineer or a cloud engineer, as it were, right? So it depends on you. It depends on what you're comfortable with. But don't try to look at what everybody else is doing, because everybody has their own path. You just focus on being grounded in the fundamentals and really know your stuff when it comes to just, the simple things, your Python, your SQL, maybe Airflow, things like that. Then, from there, you can now build out and establish yourself. I hope this answers your question.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Daniel. I hope that answered the question, Mr. Obina. Thank you for that. So we're answering the next question. We have Mr. Omobolaji. Please ask the question.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening. Yes, we can hear you. Please go
Can you
ahead.
hear? Okay. Thank you very much. I just enrolled for data analyst role. I don't know if I'm permitted to ask my question or participate in there because I can see this is a data engineering platform.
Please go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. So I'm just transitioning into data world, so to speak, so I find a lot of things strange and new, but it's fascinating though, because I have my my BSc background in demography and statistics, so I can relate with data a little bit. So going forward, but the tech side of it, it's a bit new to me, and I'm not that of a, how would I put it, a fast learner when it comes to Python or all these coding and all of that. So I wanted to start with data analytics and then see where I go from there. So my question is, how do I put myself out there well enough, competent enough, and confident enough for companies to hire me? Because I know that nobody's going to hire a quack, So being a fresher and a greenhorn, I don't know how to build my CV to start with, because if I'm going to put anything there, I'm going to put maybe 1 week that I've done with you guys, and nobody's going to hire that. So I don't know how to package myself and be employable, because I know, employability is a watchword at 10 Analytics. One of the things that made me, enroll with you guys.
Okay, thank you for that question. I think we can have Mr. Chu answer that question for you.
All right, Balaji, thank you for the question. So I think the first thing to consider is confidence. It doesn't just come to you. You have to work for it. So confidence comes from you being able to actually do the work. So and how do you do the work? You have to build. So whether you're in engineering or you're in analytics, you have to find out what is actually required. For engineering, you have to actually build data pipelines. You have to build data infrastructure that will be able to move data, from one place to another place. So you have to actually do that work. If you're in analytics, you have to actually take up some data sets and look for insights, build some dashboards with any dashboarding tool that you like. So you have to do that work. By the time you've done it a couple of times, you begin to feel more confident, because as of today, if you go for an interview, there will come a point where they'll ask you to tell them about your experience, tell them about something you've done. So you don't want to, at that point, begin to think about some abstract thing that you did in your mind. You have to talk about something you actually built. So first thing to do when you're looking for confidence is to give yourself a time frame to say, okay, I want to take the next 2 months or 3 months to actually build. And like I mentioned earlier, at that point where you're building, I think the fastest way that you can get hired as of now is, as you're building, build in public. So you've built a very nice dashboard, post it somewhere, post it on LinkedIn, post it on Twitter, whatever it is you like, post it there, talk about it, let people criticize it, and then you take the feedback. When you've done this for your chosen time period, maybe 2 months, 3 months, the confidence just comes naturally. You begin to get better at some of these things. Then once you begin to apply for jobs, the first interview, it might not be so great, but you take the feedback, you see the kind of questions that are asked in the interview, and you go back. If there's a particular area that you feel like, okay, I need to improve, you go back, build in that area again, and then you come back the next interview. By the time you do this 2, 3, 4 times, you just begin to feel a lot more confident. So the majorly is that you have to do the work. When it comes to the data space, you can't, it's not so easy to wing it, because when you're winging it, anybody who listens to you knows that you're winging it. You've not actually done this work. So you have to sit down. There are a lot of different data sets that are your analytics, a lot of different data sets out there that you can pick up and work on them, find insights, build some dashboards and present to somebody and things like that, write some reports. So these are things that you can do, and over time, your confidence will just grow naturally. All right, Mobalaji.
Awesome. Another thing I think I should add to that is one thing that you also get to benefit, because I got the listing, you mentioned that you just started out on in the analytics program. Part of the thing that's also offered here at analytics is the fact that we have, besides the technical aspect of things, there are also the employability side of things, where we talk about the professional side of things you should know in terms of, like Chu said, preparing your CV, making things public, how you can package yourself. Because think about the knowing the technical side of things is one thing, but being able to present yourself in a way that makes you attractive to companies, to employers is very, very important. So I would say, in addition to everything you've learned, take the employability side, and that's to everyone also who is already in the program. Take the employability side of your training, quite important as well, just like how you take the technical side. This is where you learn things like how to negotiate salaries, how to present yourself, how to optimize your LinkedIn, how to optimize Upworks, how to leverage on some key aspect that you need to get that job, because that's really why we all gathered here. That's the reason why you're learning these skills, so you can be yourself more employable. So that's pretty much all I can add to that. Awesome.
All right, thank you for that, Mr. Chu and Dr. Hay. I hope you've been able to learn one or two things from that question you asked or the answer given. So the next person we'll be taking is Lola. Please ask your question.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
All right. My name is Lola. So I currently work as a senior analytics consultant. So which means basically currently I'm on the delivery side, and I get to work alongside a whole lot of core tech guys as well. But what that simply means is I'm not so much in the core tech part of things. I do have hands-on experience on SQL, but not necessarily at a professional level. And also when it comes to having a basic understanding of Python, yes, I do. So based on that, what would be the best, advice as to how, one can easily pivot to becoming a data engineer? And the second question is, given the minefield of tools out there. Uh, Even if you take the cloud architecture space in itself, is it Google Cloud or is it AWS and all that? So how do you navigate, or how do you prioritize or focus, given that, considering that being a beginner, how do you choose what to go with? How do you structure a set of project for yourself that you can work on, develop, put there in the public domain, and enhance your employability? So that would be my question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that, Lola. So we can have Mr. Oluwatobi answer that for you. And please, after Marian, we'll be taking any questions for now. So we have Timothy and Marian left. Thank you.
Okay, hi Lola. So to your question, if I am remembering correctly, you said you have some experience with SQL and Python, and you're thinking about how to pivot, what you can do to pivot. So in relation to that, that's why analytics is here, to be honest. You're already in that space. You know what the work is like. You know what those kind of people work on. So if you want a kind of a structured way to go from like basic beginner to you know what you are looking at, you know how to solve a data problem, then you can go with something like analytics, where there's a curriculum, There's resources to take you through everything. You know, they are like very great. They're very great teachers that will like put you through even to the professional stuff. And so there's that. Then, but if you're like someone who is a kind of more of a self-starter and you know what to look for, there are actually a lot of free resources online. It will just be up to you to have the discipline to kind of like structure them and know what to look for, what to work on, what to incorporate. That can be difficult for a beginner, which is why um, I would recommend either following something with something like analytics, enrolling in something like analytics, or having some kind of mentor that can guide you. In relation to knowing what to build, what kind of cloud infrastructure to learn, those kind of things. Really, all of the cloud providers, at least the big ones, Microsoft's Azure, Amazon's AWS, and Google's GCP. All of them have their markets. So whichever one that you learn, you can't really go wrong, right? But I guess the most popular one is AWS, at least for data engineers. Kind of for people that do data science, they might prefer Azure because it has some kind of machine learning capabilities that are more generally used. But from a data engineer perspective, a lot of people prefer AWS. That said, in order to know what to build, there's a two-step approach I like to use. So what I like to do is you can write your interests down. So whether it's football, movies, whatever it is that you like, that is your interest, you can write that down. And then you can just do a very stupid Google. How is data used in X? How is data used in Y? By the time you do that, you will see some like, there's football analytics, for example, using football as an example, there's football analytics, this is how this is measured. So it will not be up to you from data engineering perspective, it will be up to you to go and look for that data that can provide those insights and then build the pipeline that will do that. Right? And you build that in public and then you present it at the end of the day. This is something that will be very interesting when you present it on social media to say, okay, this is my favorite team. I've analyzed their games from some so time, and these are the results. I was able to get the data from here. I was able to clean it like this, blah, 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 like that. Another approach is to look at the industry that you want to work in. Let's say you want to work in health, for example. How is data used in health? So there's a lot of things that they use data for in health. They use it for like health surveillance. They use it to predict like outbreaks. They use data to track like health outcomes, health inputs. So it will not be up to you to say, okay, can I replicate what a data engineer in health tech might do with open data? Sometimes the data that you need to work with is not open. So can I, with the data that is freely available online, can I replicate some of these things? So if you're saying, okay, we want to measure health outcomes in Nigeria, okay, where are the data sources? How can I clean them? How can I do some kind of pipeline or process that is getting that data and then making it available in a very insightful way for people? And this is something that can have value on its own to begin with. But by the time you build such things in public, you can have something to point to, maybe at interviews, or you're speaking to somebody senior, like you have something to point to say, okay, I've worked on this, and can you check it out? So that's how I would say you can go about kind of increasing your employability, actually, and like getting into the field. Hopefully that wasn't too much of a ramble. Lola.
Okay, thank you for that, Mr. Oluwatobi. I hope that answered the question, Mr. Lola. Okay, I think Timothy's hand was raised up, but it's not raised up again. Okay, let's take Marian, and that will be the last question we'll be taking today for this session. And like I said, we have a gift that we're going to give, and that gift is not just any gift. It's a gift we are prepared for data engineers for you to be able to get your first role or to get that role you're looking to get that will prep you. So you don't want to miss it. So stay tuned and also fill the attendance form so you can get this gifts that were prepared for you specially. Okay, so let's hear from Miriam.
Good evening. Please confirm you can hear me. Can you hear me?
A bit. Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, can you hear me now? Is it better?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. I want to thank you very much for this. What you're doing is really okay, but I have some concern concerning our learning. This data engineering, it's something that one needs to have time, especially those videos, going through the videos for somebody that is new in them. And that is what I've tried to do. But I noticed that most times questions are not being answered. People that should address those questions are not addressing the questions. And those are the people that created the videos. Why is analytics doing this? This question is to Dr. Ihi. I want to hear from him because I expected we are 1 month plus now in data engineering. We start in August cohort. Why haven't he addressed us? Why haven't he even come to the class and talk to us? And make us ask us questions. Is there any way we are having difficulties in the videos we've been watching? That would make us better. It's not about coming to talk about how to get jobs. How will you get jobs when you are not even good at what you're supposed to know or do?
Hi, Mariam.
My own part. Yes, I'm with you.
Yeah, so apologies if you feel like you've not been answered or attended to. So the way usually it tends to work is many a times each facilitator gets assigned to cohorts. So even myself as well, in as much as I oversee every activity, I get assigned to cohorts. And when we get a chance to interact, we interact with different people at different levels or different capacities. So many a times it's expected that while I'm interacting with my cohorts that I attend to, the facilitator with you, that's the data engineer in-house with you, attends to you, but I'm also tend to be there. It's just definitely in situations where it's basically a situation where you can't be everywhere at the same time. Now, in terms of questions, now you said you asked some of these questions, but when you ask these questions, you tag me to the question because it's a situation where, like you say, it's like looking at multiple courts at the same time. So usually that's why we tend to always advise that when you have a particular question directed to someone, you tag the person to that question. When it pops up, it makes us now see, oh, your attention is for example, now if you wanted a question that Taiwo should attend to and she happens to be on the group, you tag her on to the question and she sees it and she attends to it. Well, I get that. I got to know that you were having that challenge, and trust me, it's gonna be attended to. I did see some of the messages you sent, and in this case, you did tag me, so I saw it on time and I was able to attend to it. But when situations when you don't tag us, it's expected, it's assumed that that question is directed to someone. Like for example, it could be directed to your facilitator in your cohort, and naturally, that was supposed to be attended to by the facilitator. You should understand that the way the program works, that's why I'm kind of surprised. If you come to realize, you realize that probably it's only you or a few persons having this feedback based on what they are personally experiencing. But most people, and I have my cohort members here, and some of the people that I've trained, they'll tell you that we always attend to everyone. It's and it's cool. And I do love the fact that you're speaking out because this shows that, yeah, it's a problem that you're personally expecting and definitely it will be addressed ASAP. So definitely have nowhere to worry about. We are there for you. That's one thing I can assure you. And I would be there for you. Since especially you've mentioned that you want to see my face, so definitely we'll take that into consideration and we'll be more present.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you for that, Marian. I think we'll just take one last question from China Gozi, and that will be all the questions we'll be taking before we move into the next session with Dr. Hay. Okay, please, you can speak.
Okay, thank you very much. I believe I can be heard now.
Yes.
My name is Chinagozi Njoko, and I want to direct my question to everyone, or every panelist, but
Okay, we can't hear you. Your voice is a bit low. Please speak out, please.
you can hear me?
We can hear you now, but we're not hearing you a minute ago, second ago.
Oh, I've been on my same pace, maybe. Now, I said, my question should be directed to everybody, but I want to hear from Mr. Chukwuebukem Ngoke. Considering the fact that you work in the bank, and I know with the banks you deal with transactions that has to do with monitoring and every other stuff. Where does a data engineer, how is a day-to-day data gotten for a data engineer? Because I know while we trained, we usually get our facts from maybe all this open or scraping, but I don't believe banks should scrape data. So is it still an API stuff that the banks make use of, or how is the process like? I'm asking because I just got an impromptu message. So this message came in this weekend for a possible interview on Monday, and this company is an insurance company, and they want somebody who is so proficient in AWS, and I've already hyped myself up already. But so I want to get an idea on. I'm confident that I'll be able to do it, but I don't have all the information that I need to go into that space. So I want to get that information.
Okay,
All
Mr.
right.
Shukri.
Yeah, Chinagozi. So your question is a bit, there's a lot of things involved in being data engineering. So I will not be able to talk about, the deep parts of data engineering in a bank or an insurance company, but I'll just give you an overview, okay? So really, every business generates its own data. So you necessarily don't need to do scraping because when you're scraping data, you're trying to take somebody's data of their websites when they don't give you an API. So when you work in a company, your company is going to generate its own data. And then that data has to, be stored somewhere so that the guys who do analytics will have to take the data and analyze the data. So essentially the job of a data engineer is to maintain what you call a data warehouse, which is a central repository where all the data for the business is going to, come for an analyst to be able to analyze the data or for the scientists to be able to build their model. So for instance, the bank, there are different, what you call source systems. There are different data sources. Like your mobile app, you have a lot of customers who are doing transactions on the mobile app. You have a lot of customers who are doing transactions at the ATMs. Have a lot of customers doing transactions from the internet banking and POS, a lot of different source systems. So you have to be able to build pipelines or have systems that will get this data from all these different sources. So the guys doing transactions with the POS is going to be stored somewhere. The guys doing transactions and the mobile app is going to be stored somewhere. So we are building systems that will get this data from all of these different sources. You want to do maybe some transformations on it or whatever it is you want to do with this data before it comes to your data warehouse. So the pipelines you're building move all of those data to your data warehouse, and it's always be refreshing this data on maybe daily basis or hourly basis or whatever timeline that your business has set. So same with if you work in the insurance company, it will still be the same kind of thing. You're moving data from the different sources that they have to the central repository. So whether you are doing it on-prem or on AWS or on Azure, the platform itself, it doesn't really matter as much as the fundamentals. So wherever you are building the pipeline, the fundamentals remains that you want to move those data from the different source systems to wherever your data warehouse is hosted. All right.
Okay, thank you for that, Mr. Chu. And I hope that answered the question. Shinagozi. Okay. So yes, we've taken quite a number of questions, and that's where we'll be wrapping up for the question and answer. So thank you all. Thank you all for the valuable information, for the valuable advice, the knowledge shared, and the answers given to all the questions answered. Thank you, Mr. Daniel. Thank you, Mr. Chukwubukem. Thank you, Mr. Oluwashino, and thank you, Mr. Oluwatobi. So we'll be moving on to, I'll be handing over to Dr. Hey for the next session that we'll be having on how you can navigate your career path as a data engineer. So stay tuned, and thank you.
Thank you so much, Taiwo. Thank you very much. I would proceed to share my screen briefly so we can get to it. Okay, everyone. So I'm guessing you all are excited. It's nice to be here. It's nice to be with you guys. I've been having fun and really enjoying everything I've learned today. So this is just a way to just go overview on everything that we've done, and also we know that we have some new people joining us here, so it's also an opportunity to really re-educate them on what data engineering is and how they can also be a part of some of the training that many of you have benefited, are currently benefiting. So now, first of all, to reintroduce the analytics, we've been there. Our goal is to educate the Black community. We've successfully trained a lot, more than 10,000 plus persons, and we've really boast of the fact, because the data is there, we've helped transition over 2,000 plus individuals from the beginning with no knowledge, no tech background, to jobs, to paying jobs. That's something we've been able to do, and it becomes quite important to understand what is data, because this is a data engineering fair. So who is a data engineer? Who is a data engineer? Really, a data engineer is really someone who sets out a set of, or data engineering is a set of operations aimed at creating interfaces, mechanisms for the flow and access of data. So funny, because I was having a class yesterday. I told them in class that the whole process of movement of data from one point to another, the person who automates and builds the system, manages the system, is a data engineer. Some of my students are here and they can remember when we had that discussion in class, and it doesn't change. It doesn't change anyways. And it's important to realize that data engineers are the professionals that set up and operate these organizations' data infrastructure. So that whole system that handles that movement of data from one point to another, that is the role of data engineer. We prepare this data for further analysis. And the use case, and then this data is used by, say, data analysts, data scientists, and other relevant stakeholders in the community or in the organizations. So data always begins from the data engineer. It starts from the data engineer. And it now becomes important to understand why data engineering. Why data engineering? So imagine being the architect behind the flow of data, just like an architect in a building. No one knows where we're headed. It's just a piece of land. So the architect comes in, studies the place, and is able to come up with interesting structures. And that is really what a data engineer does. He understands the flow, is the architect behind the flow of the data, the person who ensures that the business have the right information at the right time to make strategic decisions. If there's no data engineer in the company, no data gets generated. Where do you want to see the data? The data cannot be found. So it becomes quite important to have a data engineer in the organizations. So data engineers form the backbone for any data-driven insights in an organization. So they help turn that raw data into gold by designing pipelines, like Chu said, pipelines, building architectures, and creating scalable data systems. So this helps you understand how very key data engineers become. That is why you can see data engineers in banks, you can see them in insurance company, you can see them in healthcare. everywhere data needs to be generated, every day where data is used, which is pretty much everywhere, you require a data engineer. So without data engineers, you would not have access to data. And what data is needed for any organization? How do we go about getting this data? These are the kind of questions that a data engineer answers, so that you can use such data to take decisions to make informed decisions. It becomes very, very important. So you see that data engineers become quite key for any organization's success. So what are some of the questions a data engineer tries to ask when answering their problem? Some of you have thought about it. Oh, okay, what are some of the questions a data engineer? Because a data engineer needs to ask some key relevant questions, and they'll just give you just a few. But you can, if you ever read the book Fundamentals of Data Engineering, you can see a lot more of these questions. So an important question could be, what are the essential characteristics of data sources? Because they will be working with data sources. How can they get information from data sources? Another question could be, what is the schema ingested? What is the schema of the ingested data? That is the structure of the data that is coming. What's the structure form? Is it going to be integers? Is it going to be strings? Is it going to be words? Is it going to be dates? Those kind of, so these are kind of things that data engineers think of. Is the storage compatible with the architecture? That they built an architecture, okay. When the storage that they're building for that architecture, is it compatible? If I ingest the data in real time, that's if the data is coming live, as the data is being generated, is flowing live, can the storage receiving the data, can it handle that data flow? So basically the entire system. The rest guys, they just see, oh, I need data. They give them data. But how that data got there, no one knows. So the data engineer, you see that, that's why if you notice some of the guys here, all of them are very, very quiet people because their mind is thinking about their systems or pipeline. I'm just kidding. But you get the idea of what I'm trying to say. And they also talk about cost, investments. What is the cost of this entire process? Because let's face it, running systems like this can be expensive. You saw Dr. Sheena talking about the new introduction of the data lakehouse technology and what that came about. The driving force behind that is because of cost. So in as much as they are very beautiful tech stacks, and trust me, data engineering will force you to learn a lot of tech stacks. In as much as they are very, very amazing tech stacks, what is the end goal? Can I make return on investments for my companies and by implementing these systems in place? So some of you wonder, okay, how do we go about getting all of these fields, all of this? Did we just wake up one morning and go outside to just go start spinning up some of these topics in like data engineering, data analysis, business analysis, all these things that analysis are offering? How do we get them? We didn't just randomly go about to go do all of these things. We did research. We are data experts, if you will. So we did research. What we first did was that we went into popular job posting websites. Indeed, job board, LinkedIn, Ghost, all these popular job posting websites. We went there and we went there to mine their data. We went there to mine their data. So we mined their data, we put all of this data on what are the popular job posts. Because this is how I'm just giving you the tips of how we arrived at the programs that we offer in Ten Analytics. And when we're doing this analysis, we did them on 3 parameters: ease of learning, ease of transitioning, and which ones gives high rewarding salaries. So we didn't just randomly pick our courses. We went through thorough analysis. And when we did that, we arrived at 8 programs, data engineering being part of these programs. And one of the reasons that we chose data engineering as part of these programs were, number one, high demand. You check out most of the recruitment, you will see it come up with different names. Maybe in one place they'll call up, they're looking for a data engineer, so they'll say they're looking for a data platform engineer, a data ops engineer, they're looking for, say, a solution architect, they're looking for a data architect. Some different role description, but so many times some even make it the people that want 2-in-1 role, they'll be like, I'm looking for a data science engineer. It can be so funny when you see things like that, but so it gives you an idea of how highly demanded the role, the knowledge of data engineering becomes, and how very, very important it is for companies. Competitive salary, because yeah, the starting salaries for data engineers, let's face it, are quite impressive. If you get a foreign gig in Nigeria, I mean abroad, I think the minimum right now, the minimum salary if you're getting a remote gig in Nigeria here or in Africa is at least 2,500 CAD, $2,500 rather, which if you convert that to Naira, that's a lot. And if you're working abroad, if you have residency permit and all of those things, the pay grade is definitely higher than $2,500. I'm just saying if you happen to get a job from here, it's $2,500, $2,000, which is really fair. And if you if you're working for a Nigerian company, please you get good, really, really, really good pay. It varies from companies. Some companies maybe say if you're entry level, maybe 400, 400 would like probably be the barest minimum. I'm talking about say at least a good average would be like 700, a million plus 2 million, depending on the level that you are in. And this is for Nigerian companies. So you say that the thing is quite comfortable and you can tend to work on site, remotely or hybrid. Like for me, since I started my tech journey, I don't think that was the last time I practiced pharmacy. I don't think I've practiced pharmacy in a long time. Even after I'm talking with you guys, I'm at home chilling in my pajamas. But you guys cannot see the pajama side. But just letting you realize that you get some perks and benefits like that working with for brands. And finally, endless possibilities. It's like it becomes really easy. Some opportunities come with visa sponsorships and a lot of really, really interesting offers actually to let you know how very beautiful such a field can be. Companies don't joke with their data engineers because data engineer is very, very, very important. They don't joke with data engineers. So in terms of how well you're taking care of, the offers are always really, really interesting. Now, some of them now ask me, okay, this is just one side. For many of you that are in the programs, you know that we also went ahead to do some external validations, and we validated these courses, these programs that we selected from the World Economic Forum, where it showed that data engineering was one of the courses that would be in high demand for the next 4 years plus, up until 2027. So based on the statistics from the national analysis, so courses were phasing out, while some courses would take up high demand, and data engineering happened to be there. So it makes you know that if you're in data engineering to this year, right now, you're in a very, very good space. Now, just to really summarize, these are the 8 courses we came about when we did our analysis. Number 1 was data analysis, number 2, data scientist, number 3, data engineer, number 4, business analyst, number 5, data data architect, cybersecurity, ML engineering, big data engineering, and yeah, so these were some of the fields that we came up. There was cybersecurity, there was HR analytics. Some of these fields were some of the roles that we came up with as areas that are quite interesting for the field. And we offer all these programs here at Analytics. So another thing to now note is one side, learning the technicals, and which we focus on teaching in Analytics. But there's also the professional side of it. It's very important because one key goal that one of you gather here is that you want to get jobs. And like I said before, the technical and the fundamentals go hand in hand, and the professional side of things go hand in hand, which is why in Analytics, we focus on providing employability skills for you. And what are these employability skills? Number 1, CV revamping, review and revamping. Very, very important. Many of you, the reasons why many of you do not get jobs is because your CV is not properly optimized. And companies have what we call ATS systems. What is ATS systems? Because let's face it, you put a job poster out there, 100 plus people apply for the job. Very many times, recruiters don't have that patience. Recruiters barely spend up to a minute on people's CV. They don't have that patience too. And these days, they now use bots to read through CVs, putting certain keywords. So there are certain keywords they want to see. If your CV is not properly optimized, at the moment you're pressing submit button, the moment your rejection is waiting for you because the ATS would have already thrown your CV away. So how to review and revamp your CV so that it passes this ATS is very important, and some of the things that we provide here at Analytics. LinkedIn optimization. It will surprise you to note that most of the jobs I've gotten, I've never even looked for them. I don't think I looked for most jobs. Like whether someone reached out to me, a recruiter reached out to me, and it came from really understanding the importance of LinkedIn. Yeah, people apply LinkedIn jobs. Is there? I don't think I've ever applied for any job. All the jobs just came to me from LinkedIn. Hi, what's up? Are you? We'll have this offer for you. I check up the interview, do well, and get a job. Like it's just been that easy. The power of optimizing your LinkedIn. People don't understand how very, very powerful LinkedIn can be when you optimize it properly. Like you'll be getting offers, sponsorship offers, different kind of offers, and these are things that I've come to see live happen, like live. kid you not, I've not looked for any job. Then navigating the job market, we show you the ins and outs of what the job market is like. And all these things tend to happen in your mentorship section. So when one of you asked the question, I told you, do not joke with your mentorship sections, your employability sections, your like LinkedIn optimization. Do not joke with any of those sections, because this is where we spill the beans on the professional side of things. This is where we help you get the necessary tools you need. That's besides the technical skills to get that, to land that role that you are looking out for. So interview preparation. Some of you have benefited from that already. You've been with me on multiple interviews, and we're always there still providing a service for you. When you get any job poster, when you get any job interview invitation, reach out, book an appointment with us. We're always there to attend to you and prepare you for your interviews. We've helped a lot of people pass certain interviews or challenges because of these preparations, how to prepare yourself, how to package your submissions, how to do many of these things, what kind of questions to expect. Job reference letters. Now, some of you will get jobs and they will require you to write a reference letter from your current place of work. We will advocate for every student to 10 analytics, that you can claim 10 analytics, you can put that on your CV, put it on your LinkedIn, put that as the place where you're currently working, not just where you train, but also where you're currently working. I will be there to provide reference letter should the need ever come up. So if there have been multiple instances where we've provided reference letter, and because some companies, especially when you start applying for companies in the UK, companies in Canada, many of these companies will ask for a reference letter from your current place of work. So if you are using 10 analytics in your profile there, you can be sure that and guarantee that would offer that reference letter for you to help you secure that jobs. On the job support, now some of you will get jobs and it's still a bit tricky balancing and adjusting into the job role. And that is where we also come in, because we'll be there to, we're going to help you work, but we're going to help you ease into the role until you get your balance and able to run with it. And that's one of the things that we tend to also provide here at 10 Analytics. Weekly mentorship, this cannot be overemphasized. Always attend your weekly mentorship sections. We provide that support that you need, that could guide you and help you in securing all the things you need. You get to ask questions, you get to learn a lot. Like, it's really, 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 really impactful. And I really advocate that you do not miss those sections, because they can be very, 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 very helpful. And Upwork optimization. Now, Upwork is a freelancing platform. You heard from Oluwatobi mentioned that when he started out, he was doing a couple of freelancing, which is quite interesting. It gives you the opportunity to be able to secure some kind of contract job before you get a full-time gig. So explore all options. Explore all options available to you, to your tool stack. Now, it so happens that sometimes when people are looking for a job, they make that subtle mistake of only looking for, because I read data engineering, you're only looking for any job that is titled data engineering. Some roles may not be titled data engineering, but if you look at them, there are roles you can do. For example, you're looking at roles like, for example, ETL, data modeler, ETL developer, big data developer. These are some roles that if you check the daily activities of some of these roles, you see that these are things that you do, that you know as a data engineer. These are things that you do on the day-to-day. Because it's not called data engineering does not mean it's not a data engineering role. So that makes you realize that there are a lot of available options of things to explore that you're not even looking at, because you limit that your search, you limit that your window to data engineering. I say this because some of you here have already started applying for jobs and maybe you're not getting some hits. And that's because you restrict yourself to just data engineering. Some people, they'll call it big data engineering. They'll call it Azure data engineering, GCP data engineering, AWS data engineer. So there's so many things out there that you can actually explore. And these are some of the tips and techniques we teach you during these sections. So it's a thing of technical and employability skills. That is what lands you that job. And that is one thing that we provide here at 10 Analytics. So what is your data engineering path like? Like I said before, there are different career paths that open up. You could check out, so you do not just restrict yourself to this data engineer. No, there are so many other things you can explore. You can explore cloud data engineer roles, you can explore data architectures. To an extent, you can also explore the DevOps role, but if you're going to take up some DevOps role as a data engineer, this is teaching towards data ops, data platform. You have to take up some other skill sets. You have to pick up some other skill sets that DevOps has already used that may not be covered on a day-to-day in data engineering. So looking at architecture is another area of specialization, just like how DevOps is another area of specialization. There are certain key things that you need to know at the core. Not just, it's like saying you're learning medicine. Okay, you've learned medicine, now you want to go and learn oncology. You want to be a specialist in pediatrics, or you want to be a specialist in hematology. These are, you now have to learn some specific core things that these guys use, because that's a specialized role. So that's the idea now. There's analytical engineering, another specialized area of them that you can deal there, you can tilt into. There's Python engineer or Python developer. There's database administrator roles, data architect roles, a lot of roles that you can explore. So the goal here is to show you guys a lot of things that exist in the field that you can explore, not limiting yourself, because the goal here is to get you guys equipped enough to attack the job market. Now, just to give you some ideas of what the pay grade is like when you get that job that you look at, you get paid something like this. And if it's data engineering, things like this, UK HR analytics, things like this, financial analytics, Scrum Master, Agile Scrum Master, things like this, cybersecurity, things like this. So it makes you realize that when you get a high-paying job, that freedom, that desire, that thing you want, you see that these are prospects of what you could be paid. And do not think that is not feasible. These are things that we've done over and over again. Sometimes what needs to happen is for your mindset to actually shift, for you to accept that, yes, I deserve to be paid this. I am worth this. And it's not just saying it by mouth. Tech is not something that you can dagbo, you can trick an employer. You can't trick an employer to employ you. You have to be worth it. Everyone here who is a panel speaker here will tell you the truth that to get any job role in tech, it's a scrutinizing procedure. It's not just like all those your typical interview, attend one interview, they interview you and they're giving you a job. No, it goes through stages, right? You go through HR interviews. From HR interviews, you go through the technical interview proper. From the technical interview, or maybe you will have to pass through the CV and all of those things. But in the technical interview, you go to technical assessment. So they've interviewed you, finish, they've evaluated it, okay, you're good to move to the next stage. You go and face technical assessment. Sometimes when you face technical assessment finish, you're not going to do behavioral and work fit cultural interview. Then maybe when you do that one finish, before you now have a chat with HR and then discussing salary. So you see how many series of stages you would have gotten to before you are getting to discussing with HR. And some companies, you might do that finish and still go and discuss with the executive team, especially if you're going for a senior role. So it makes you realize that it's a field where there needs to be constant shifting, mind shift. You have to see yourself that, yes, I deserve this. Now, for the guys joining us for the first time, it becomes quite important. Why should you train with us? Why do you think you should train with us? Because here at 10 Analytics, we can guarantee you a couple of things. Number one, you get access to a phenomenal network. This is something we have done this over again. We've helped over 2,000 plus people transition. It's there, it's on our YouTube, it's all live, and everything we've done is all out there. We've helped over 2,000 plus people move from classroom to their first jobs in the UK, in the US, in Nigeria, and even in Europe, Africa, Asia. We've done this over and over again. So we have that track record that speaks for ourselves. Number two, we offer a very, very up-to-date curriculum on the fundamentals of data engineering. And it comes to surprise you guys to note that all the guys that teach and train at 10 Analytics here are all industry-based experts. Everyone with industry-based experience. So you already know that you are in very, very, very safe hand. And what you are learning is what is in use right now in the industry. Number three, the blended training program. We offer up a training program that meets both fast-paced and slow-paced learners. For fast-paced learners, we get to have everyone gets to participate in the live classes on Saturday, where you get to learn, you get to meet with an instructor who talks to you and teaches you and trains you. However, there's also what we have Watch Me Do It videos available on the learning management website, the LMS, whereby you can watch prepared videos that shows you in a practical manner the different aspects you need to know. Of course, there are always in-house facilities available on standby. There's a chat bot available on the LMS to help you guys answer questions. So many things are available for you. So, and sometimes also you guys should also know that there's open room for communication. We're open to listening. There's communication at different levels. So wherever there's a challenge, wherever there's an issue, please feel free to reach out. Feel free, don't ever feel like it's a burden not reaching out. Feel free to reach out. We're there to attend to you every step of the way. Now, finally, tailored sections to position you to land your first job. And this is where the employability section comes in, because we do not just focus on the technicals, we also focus on giving the balanced side of it, which is the employability section. So how is your data engineering program going to look like? 100% in online learning, visual instruction-led program. There's a hands-on practical section with videos and exercises with projects. So you can be, it's in almost every section you have every week, there's always a project that is given, an industry-based project. So you can be definitely sure that you're getting enough knowledge, you're getting enough experience that you can put to your GitHub repo, you can advertise there, you can show that as portfolios that you have done working with data analytics, and we'll be there to back you up every step of the way. Lifetime access to your materials. You're in a classroom with they're having up to 20 plus classes, over 50 plus topics to learn. It's quite affordable, and you can be guaranteed that, man, the salary you're hitting as a data engineer will definitely worth the pay. You get to add projects to your portfolio. That is another aspect that you should realize. There's high job prospects for your training program. Industry relevant certificate, because at the end of the program, we offer a certificate that you can put there and take it around with you. So you have a formal training in data engineering. Finally, the program is 3 months of training plus 2 months of virtual internship. So a total of 5 months for the full data engineering curriculum. So what's it like? What's the pathway like? Start out by learning introduction into data engineering. Then you learn about Python and SQL. Then you proceed to learn about Bash commands, version control, Linux, GitHub. You learn about data modeling. You learn about pandas. You learn about Apache Spark for big data processing. You learn about data, the concept of data extraction, data transformation and cleaning. Learn about the concept of cloud computing, whereby you learn about Azure and GCP cloud. You learn about data pipelines and orchestration. Before you know it, you're there. And this will just happen in a couple of span of 3 months. And that is what you need. That's that information you need. So you should then now know that it doesn't just end with training, such that we can give you that work-based experience that you need. There's also the internship aspect. So once you're done with your training, you have what we call a capstone presentation, and you proceed to internship, which is a free internship. And this will reflect in your CV. You get to work on an industry-based project that you can add, put it, you give a presentation, you can add it to your CV, you stand out in your portfolio. Then there's also an opportunity to add your project to build a portfolio website. Let me give you a sample of that. I have one here. Take a look at my portfolio website. So you can gather knowledge to be able to work on something like this, a portfolio website for yourself. So on such a website, you can have different portfolio projects you've done. It's a portfolio of project I did, which is pretty much the design of this portfolio website, pretty easy. This is a project I did. The video is even live there on YouTube, so you guys can check it out. I guess I did that project doing my own internship back in the day. Like Daniel said, I was actually in the same program like him. He's around COVID-19. So portfolios like this you get to do. So surprising to know I actually even embedded this website with intelligence email responder. But that's a so interesting projects that you can work on. You get to add them on your CV, and you can showcase this as in an interview setting. And this answers a lot of questions without you even talking. So yeah, and like I said, these are things that we've done over and over again. We've been doing this continuously. So it's not things that we started up today. And this is simple, some examples of people that we've helped get jobs. I'm going to play just one of them so that we can be able to listen and see a sample of what I'm talking about. So I'm just going to play one of them. Kindly let me know if you can hear the audio for this particular video.
Hello everyone, my name is Idris.
Can you hear it?
How I heard about analytics was through a post on Instagram. So there was this ad.
Yes.
So I was interested in what I saw there. That made me decide to go through their website and see the curriculum they had. Going through the curriculum, I realized this was exactly what I was looking for, because I'm this kind of person. I very much love the learning fundamentals when I'm diving into a new field. And this was exactly what 10-analytics was doing. It starts from the fundamentals and build up from there. That made me enroll into the program with them, and my learning experience throughout the program was very productive, because I gained a lot of concepts which I'm applying in my current role as an since finishing the program at Analytics, I've been able to secure a data engineering role at Jaguar Land Rover, and recently I just secured a new role as a senior analytics engineer. So my advice for anyone is, if you're having any doubts, or if you think, oh, you need to delve into this field, I advise you to just go to the website, check on the courses there, and see what you're interested in and start there. Thank you.
Okay, so that was Idris, one of the data engineers that we worked with and we trained, and was able to land a role in data engineering. There have been quite a number of other people that, so this slide will be made available for you guys so that you guys can watch and listen to, and there are a lot more on our YouTube that you can watch and listen to. So just to reiterate to you guys, at the end of the day, what will separate you from the competition? Yes, you need the technical skills to actually do the job and pass the interviews. But what will even get you there, so that to people to want to even listen to what you want to say, is those employability skills that I keep reiterating are quite important for you to get as well. And what are those employability for? We look at it on 3 levels. The first level is learning how to prepare your CV. Very important, because if your CV is not well prepared, trust me, people will never see that you're a data engineer. From people's CV, I can already have a picture of who they are. So CV review, how to optimize your LinkedIn. I keep re-emphasizing how very important. There's hardly any job you want to apply to today that they don't ask you what's your LinkedIn image. And the first of all, it even starts from how you present yourself on LinkedIn. How does your LinkedIn picture look like? Does it not look like very, very, very weird? Let it look interesting. Let the people see you and say, oh, this is a professional. Optimizing your Upwork for freelance roles, navigating the job market, how to know where to look for a job. We don't just go to any random place, where to look for the jobs, how to prepare for interviews. Knowing about Python coding is one thing. Learning how to answer interview questions on Python is another thing entirely. There are especially for data engineering interviews, there are techniques on how to prepare for data engineering interviews. I always re-emphasize it. And to this effect, I did tell you that there's a gift that we'll be handing out to every alumni, everyone who dropped their name here. It's going to be a guide, a full-on educated guide on how to prepare for a data engineering interview. Something my team and I worked on. And we've done our best to make it very, very, and I'm guessing the people that will get the most benefit out of this are those people that are in the program. Because when you're in the program and you're preparing for interviews, you have access to me and my full team to work with you for preparing you for interviews. And we get to walk you through how to utilize this to the best potential. But everyone who attends the events, who leave their emails, we get that as a souvenir gift for us. And thank you all for enjoying that. So yeah, recommendation letters, very, very important. I know people that have not gotten a job, like they passed the interview and everything. When they got to the point of recommendation letter, they couldn't get recommendation letter. And because of that, they lost out on that job opportunity. But none of you who are in 10-analytics or will be joining 10-analytics and would not get that kind of experience, because we give those recommendation letters. And we have a lot of proofs of that. Weekly mentorship, all very important, because you get to learn a lot about these employability skills in your weekly mentorship sections. On the job support, I did mention that we provide that on the job support, helping you ease in. And by the time you're able to apply that tech skills and apply those employability skills, what do you get at the end of the day? You get that job that you desire. Is it easy? No, it's not easy, but we're a strong believer that consistency brings that success at the end of the day. And we're there to work with you every step of the way. So for those joining us for the first time, for those in other course, they're also exploring that opportunity of data engineering. Our next cohort in data engineering is starting on the 3rd of October. That's the next cohort. And this is the program fee. So the full program, this is the full amount in this is the full on amount, but we'll be giving a 20% discount to the first 20 persons. The first 20 persons will get a 20% discount, and this is the amount they will be paying. But it's surprising to note that you can, if you don't have that full amount, you can actually pay in installments, and in 2 installments. The first part will be this. So if it's in dollar, you'll be paying, instead of $600, you'll be paying $400 as first installment, and 200 later on, which is usually at least a month into the program. Then same thing applies for when paying in pounds, paying in euros, paying in Canadian dollars, and even when paying in Naira. Now, some of you, since you will access this, you can scan the, if you want to pay now, you can scan this code on your screen right now. Or if not, the link is there, you can click on it. When you click on it, it redirects you to the payment portal where you get to make your payments. And it's pretty straightforward from there. So you just put in your details, fill in all the things you need to do, and also you secure your spots, and you're just ready to receive your pay. So before you know it, you'll be contacted via email or providing all the details. Now, I know some people have questions. You have questions, more questions. You need more clarifications. Yeah, this is data engineering, but then again, analytics also offer 7 other programs: HR analytics, business analytics, financial analytics, cybersecurity, agile project management, Scrum Master, a host of all of others courses that we offer here, and all of them go for the same pricing. So that being said, if you do have questions, if you don't have feedback, if you do have queries, we also have what we call clarity sections. So leave your name down, people will attend to you. We also have what we call clarity sections where we can answer these questions. There you get to meet me and all the senior data associates and even the founders. I'll get to speak with you and answer all of your questions. So yeah, that is pretty much it for me, guys. And I'm open to answering any further questions or any further feedback on assistance you need while we go. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Like I said, this is the goal. This is what we do on a day-to-day basis, and there are a lot of other testimonials for you to listen to from people that we've helped transition into data analyst roles, sponsorship, people help growth roles in Europe and all of that. So we've been lucky to have people participants work in diverse sectors here. So yeah, that's it, guys. At this junction, are there questions or there feedbacks on any of these things? If there anything that is not clear, any question, anyone joining for the first time, please feel free to ask a question so we can attend to this before I call it a day, guys. So are there questions? Hey, so okay, I guess Lola has a question. Let me take Lola's. Hi Lola, what's your question?
Hi. Yeah, thanks for, running through all that. So my question is, what depth of proficiency would your course on data engineering get a beginner to? Because if I heard you correctly, you said this is for 3 months, and given the course module, and I'm looking through the content of the module, looks more like there are a whole lot of, there are a couple of things to go through and learn, and I'm wondering about the feasibility within 3 months, and even if it is possible within 3 months, at what level would you be proficient enough if you're able to complete the program? So that would be my question. Just to add one more, and I'm just going to take one example. If you take SQL, for example, it's as big as it sounds. It's also quite vast as well. What depth of proficiency would you need for SQL to be able to start up as a data engineer? Is it as basic or intermediary and all that? Intermediate rather. So that's my question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Lola, for the question. So today I look at the both questions are more or less the same thing. At the end of the day, you're kind of trying to be sure to what depth would the training get you to for at when you're done with it. Be more specific with SQL. One thing we do, the way the program is structured, it's structured to get you from a beginner with no knowledge to an entry-level professional. And really, when you say entry level, is a bit subjective because what is really entry level? Entry level just means you don't have enough much work experience in the field. So we teach you all the fundamentals and some bits more. This is enough to get you to the level where you can comfortably work on tasks. However, mastery in anything, as you well know, is built on practice and consistency. So we teach you enough to be able to build on yourself with consistency. So what does that mean? And this cuts across every role, not just even tech now, every role. To not become redundant, you have to continuously work on yourself. And this is more true for tech. Every time I am not actively in meeting or working on one job, working on one contract, I am almost always reading. I'm not spending family time because family man, I spend family time. I'm almost always reading one text, always reading or watching. Like Chu mentioned, you always just have to keep updating yourself because let's face it, data engineers, there's a lot you have to know. Like there's a lot you have to know. Technologies keep coming out every day. When I learned data engineering, there's nothing like ChatGPT. It wasn't there. It wasn't a thing. So you couldn't ask ChatGPT questions. And to be fair, I would say as helpful as ChatGPT has been, has really, really killed the thinking ability of data engineers because of not just of tech professionals, because you can't, a lot of people don't think out of the box and a lot more because so much is give the code to ChatGPT and ChatGPT does the thinking for you. And that really cripples you because what if you're in a situation where there's no network or you're directly in front of your boss in an engineering meeting and they ask you a straightforward SQL question that literally everybody knows, even the guys that are not data analysts knows how to solve it. And you're there, lost because there's no ChatGPT in front of you to answer the question. These are things that clearly happens. And I've seen people open up and tell me. So going back before digressing too much, the point is we teach you enough to be able to know enough about the field to be and continuously work on yourself. And then again, we also are there to give you guidance on how to continuously work on yourself. Till tomorrow, I still speak with cohorts I taught since October or November. Still talk with them. I still have a chat with them. I still check up on them. Some of them tell me about amazing things they're doing. Some of them have gotten jobs. It's quite interesting seeing guys. I legitimately had people in my cohort that did not know how to boot their computer. I kid you not. I did not know there were people that did not know how to boot a computer system in this current era until I met they were like, what? It was funny. He said, okay, open control panel on your system. They can't find control panel. Like, how do you right click? They said, dog, okay, how do I right click? Huh? It was really, really, really amazing. And then jump 3 months later, and you see these guys walk through an entire ETL process, writing Linux code, some modularizing their code. I was impressed. I was amazed. And this is showing you the level of, and this is just more and more classic examples of what students have done. You teach them A and B and they come to the presentation, they're giving you C, D, E, even the full alphabet, and you're like, wow. And if this is what they are doing at the level of internship or presentations, what would they not doing? So that's just give you an idea of how things work. I hope I'm able to answer your question, Lola.
Yeah, thanks for providing that context. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Someone asked when we'll be having a masterclass on for the business analyst. Well, soon enough, Jonathan. I hope. I guess those guys are in the business analyst guys are cooking up something. So definitely you'll be getting something more and more. Okay, so are there more questions? Okay, I think someone has this up. Let me listen to Eddie. Hi, Eddie. I think Eddie is from my current class. Hi, Eddie.
Hi. Thank you for the mentorship session. It was very insightful. My question is, because I hear about all the success stories, are there people that 6 months down the line after graduating, with all the help, with everything, still haven't been able to land a job? If yes, what then? What's the next? How will you help such a person? Worst case
Now,
scenario.
in such situations, which is natural, and even in statistics, there are people that will get the positive, and definitely will also be people that will get the negative result. The key goal here is to continuously keep working on yourself. Look, I take one of the speakers, for example, Daniel. It's a very, very practical scenario. When me, I would say we pretty much almost did the same. It's just that I didn't volunteer. I pretty much just got a job that the pay was just next to nothing. Because the point is, we realized after we came out of academy that, okay, the jobs were not being forthcoming, so we needed to gather experience. And there are so many ways to do that. Number one, volunteering and getting experience. Number two, taking up projects. You could take up there now in this, you guys are lucky in your era because there are platforms that give you projects, industry-based projects to work on. So what you do, you subscribe to them, work on those projects, can revamp them and put them on your CV and your resumes. And these are personalized projects that you're working on. So if there's no work experience to fill in, there's no volunteering roles to fill in, then you can fill it up with enough projects to show that, man, this guy is vast. Because even more than experience, what a company really wants is someone that can do the job. So if you can prove beyond all reasonable doubt that you can do the job, you should be able to land the role. Don't just sit down there, fold up your hands and expect that, oh, every job I'm applying for is rejection. Because trust me, you will get more rejections than you get yes to. That is normal. Like you literally have to get numb to getting rejections. And it is only when you grow numb to getting rejections that you then will definitely be open enough to get a yes. Because what if you get rejection 100 times and it was on the 101 time, that was when you're going to get the next job. So many times at the end of the day, the yes is what really counts. And different people's journey is quite different. Well, as long as you continuously keep reaching out, you continually keep engaging, we are always there every step of the way. And to that effect, the alumni network is going to continue to remain active moving forward, especially that of data engineering, because I'm very, very committed. I have every data engineering person that's finished from this program at heart, and I will always be checking up from time to time. And even when I'm not here, people will always be there to check up from time to time. That is certain, because that is the goal, to get you to where you need to be. I hope I've been able to answer your question, Eddie. So, are there more questions? Are there any other questions? Or do we call it a day here, guys? I know it's been a long one. Any other questions? Okay, Timothy. Oh, I'm seeing people from my class. Okay, so Timothy, go ahead. Let me answer you.
Hi.
Hi, Timothy.
Yeah, this is just an aside. It's not where I'm speaking quietly. I have a baby in my room. Yeah, but this is an aside. It's so I'm currently in the UK and I'm looking at a possibility of a global talent application. And I know you said you provide data recommendations. All things being equal, are you able to help provide for that?
Definitely, if it comes up and you need a letter of recommendation, then definitely we'll be able to provide for that. Just that I know for the global talents, they do envisage that you have a letter of not just letter of recommendation, you have this at least 2 years work experience in tech. Could be any role of tech, but you have 2 years work. You have at least 2 years paid work experience. So if you have that on your belt, and all you just need to do is just to fine tune it, and you need a letter of recommendation, definitely will be available to provide a letter of recommendation to that effect. So I hope that's helpful. Okay, so it's been fun having you guys. Like I promised, your data engineering interview preparation kit will be sent to everyone who participated in the program. Thank you all for coming around. It's been a fun one having you guys. I've had enough time. And don't think that this is the only of its kind of data engineering career day. We hope to implement this from time to time. It might not be every month, but it will be coming up more frequently. Because the point of this is this is the first of its kind, but the point of this moving forward is to be able to get to engage with you guys, get to know what you guys are facing. We encourage you guys to start applying for job now so that you can already see how data engineering in job searching, how data engineering interviews are like. You can start to grow that immunity to understanding how to navigate your way through data engineering interviews. And that's one of the things we encourage. Start applying for jobs now. You might be feeling imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome is normal. Imposter syndrome exists because you are imposter. So if you're feeling like you don't know something, what does that mean? It means that your system is trying to tell you it's time to know that thing. So the only way you get out of that feeling is by actually doing. That's the cure to imposter. Do the task, do the job, read about it, read about the documentation, get to doing. Sometimes some confidence does not even come until you actually start doing the data engineering job. When you start doing it, when you meet problems, that forces, do you run away from the problems or do you stand up to the task and start attacking the problem? That is where your imposter syndrome is cured. So imposter syndrome will not be cured when you run away from the job. Imposter syndrome will only be cured when you focus on it head on. Face it, get into that nitty-gritty, go through that stress, read those documentation, ask the necessary question, figure it out at the end of the day. And even if you don't figure it out, trust me, all the effort you put in would matter because you've learned so much that you can apply to solving a similar problem in the future. But all of that benefits you would not get if you didn't even put in the effort in the first place. So is imposter syndrome bad? I don't think so. I think it's even a blessing in disguise because that is one way to know that it's time to level up. That is a checkmate, you know that it's time to level up. So guys, don't be limited, don't be hindered. Keep on shining. I will look forward to discussing with you next time. Thank you all for coming around. It's been awesome being with you guys. I've had enough fun. And thank you all for joining us. And I want to say thank you for all our speakers that was here, Chu, Daniel, Dr. Shino, Oluwatebu. Thank you all for coming around. And everyone do have a wonderful night rest. Cheers. Take care.